Yeah, it's the planet with ears, I like to call it. Saturn. Moving right along. It is a little further south in the sky, so it's going to move a little quicker than the moon, you might think. Of course, it's a small target, too. What was that Mel Gibson's character said in The Patriot? Aim small, miss small. And to the eye, Titan is there, but we're losing the seeing conditions by the minute as the twilight pops up in here, and that, I think that's just the most I can zoom. Titan is out around. It's pretty good. It's at a pretty good distance. I'm gonna say at about. If the phone screen is a clock, it's going to be about close to 1 o'clock, maybe a little after 1 o'clock. And yeah, the focus is going to be stupid as usual. And to the eye this morning with whatever this is, 100 power, you can see not the Cassini division with this telescope, but you can see the gap between the planet and the ring. So I was going to try to see if I could get that to settle down enough to at least see that. I mean, we can't see Titan with this camera, but it would be nice to see that gap between the disk of the planet and the rings. Come on, focus. Thought maybe it would momentarily focus past the barely. You can see it focus through it, but it doesn't rightfully settle down on it. I've been able to trick it by going out of focus with the telescope just a little bit, and it'll focus through what you're looking at, and you can see it momentarily sometimes. And it's not doing it. But anyway, you can see that planet is not right. There's something wrong with that planet. I like to say the planet with ears. I've had some, youngsters that are family members looking at that. We've had like a projector and do a movie night. While the adults argue what movie we're going to watch, they come and look at the telescope. Saturn. There's some early drawings of Saturn, which I guess Galileo and some others did, and they couldn't see enough detail to know what the heck was going on. They're like, that planet's got like an oblong something going through it. Who knows what they were saying. Hey, somebody gave me a thumbs up. You're welcome. Nature called at like 4 o'clock, so I took care of that. Decided to take a gander, and I could see the moon coming up, and I knew Saturn was not too far from the moon. We're about to lose the Saturn here behind an old oak tree. And believe it or not, that much wandering up and down, it's not the tripod. That's the heat distorting that up and down. And don't ask me how these computer geeks and geniuses and astronomy buffs at these observatories, they figured out a way I think to use 2 telescopes or something, or more, and to cancel the heat warbles whenever they're looking at a target or targets. I think they've got it where they can that little bit of up and down is actually the heat of the atmosphere. And you might be like, oh, it's cold in the morning. Oh, it ain't that cold today, but there's lots of humidity too, believe me. I had to wipe all my lenses, had condensation on them, even though I covered them up. I put the lens cap on and just enjoy Saturn here. I'm gonna stop griping about the focus. It's Saturn. Somebody popped on there and didn't stay on long enough to see the thing go into focus. We're in the twilight zone. Getting twilighty out here, and we're dangerously close to losing the planet in an oak tree leaf any moment. Well, actually, what luck. We're kind of in a little gap in the leaves, it looks like. Saturn. Now, tell me you haven't seen telescope boxes in the stores trying to sell telescopes to kiddos or to parents that don't know any better, and they think, oh yeah, we can see Saturn with that telescope. It's only $100. I think this one, when it was new, of course, it's an older version of the Celestron Power Seeker or something or another, alt azimuth mount tripod. I believe it was something crazy like maybe up to $279 in some places. Recently saw it for something like $189 on sale. I didn't pay that for it. I got it and pieced it together, because I had another one that was a $35 one I bought at a charity auction. And there goes behind the leaves in the trees. Anyway, it was $35 at the charity auction. A $99 telescope, which I don't know if I still have the box. I should take the pictures off the box. Anyway, I was able to, take I think I'm using the camera adapter from that telescope. And I had another one, but I was impressed with this 70 millimeter. But it turns out I was in a dark sky area as well. Let's swing over here and look at the moon. Get this thing to cooperate here. Much easier target the moon is. We're getting there. Hang on. I should make some motor sounds, make you think I've got one of those expensive motor drives. Acquiring target, it's got voice control too or something. Find the moon. Acquiring target. Upside down, of course. That's rising. It's going the opposite direction. And if you're somewhere where you got enough sky, it's up pretty high right now. So unless you're really in the hills somewhere, you should be able to see the moon. It does take, or has been taking, a southerly course. But it pretty much rises and sets almost exactly where the sun does. But yet it goes through the sky considerably to the south of the sun. Right now, we're headed toward the longest day of the year, so the sun goes straight overhead. And the moon can wander. I never did find out from an astrology friend of mine what void of course means. Ooh, is that a bat? That was a big, if that was a bat, that was a big bat. Anyway, it's amazing sometimes what you see flying through the sky when you're looking around. And this morning when I got out here and started to set up, I got my little ice cream table and a bucket to set on. And then I found my lawn chair. And I noticed swarms of satellites after 4 a.m. And that's what I've heard. Right now to the eye, I can see the disk of the shaded side of the moon. It doesn't want to show up it might show up for us here in a few minutes as we get more into the twilight. And of course, I'm playing with the auto iris by doing that. Going off the screen. Let it crawl back on. And we'll see the disk of the shaded side. No. Not really. At least not that I can tell out here. Again, the tilt of I've kind of rigged it to where the moon is appearing opposite in your view. If you take the horns of the moon and draw a line from the tip on the north and the tip on the south of the moon, right down, it points to south. Now, we use that line to draw a right angle perpendicular line and point towards the sun. But guess what? The sun ain't going to come up where that moon is pointing. The sun's going to come up pretty close to where it's pointing, but the light is hitting the moon directly from the sun, just like it hits us directly. So you should be able to, in your mind's eye, thinking three-dimensionally or whatever you want to think, the expression you want to use, you can tell, that sun has to be huge. Be able to put light straight on the moon as well as straight on us. And we know there's look it up. And I've never done it. Sure, never have. But if you had to have trigonometry in high school or whatever, algebra and stuff like that, you learn Pythagorean's theorem. There's a way to get a protractor. I mean, you can just do it for fun as an estimate it. You catch where the sun's coming up and do a protractor to the angle of the moon, and you get that angle. And what is it? You need the angle and the angle on two sides to get the third side, the hypotenuse. The distance from here to the moon would be much smaller than the distance from the moon to the sun. And there might be a better time of the month to do that, like when the moon is at half moon, or last quarter. You might have a better time of coming up with a number that matches up what we're told, because it's an average of 225,000 miles away, and probably the vast majority of the time when the moon is first half or last half, first quarter or last quarter, The average distance is going to be about where it should be. It'll be 225,000 miles. And obviously it varies because we get, the variations in apolune and paralune, which is, apogee is the Earth orbit. So we have variations in perigee and apogee. If you're orbiting the moon, it's paralune and apolune. And the close distance for a moon base shuttle, you'll be screaming fast, maybe not. Oh, hey, there you go. We can start to see that shadow line between the blackness of space. Yeah, you can see the shaded side of the moon now. I thought that might happen. When we go into twilight, sometimes it changes the contrast a little bit. And my slow motion control worked. Just go backwards a little bit over here. Maybe we can see that better. Maybe not. I like that mountain there that's kind of sticking up by itself. I didn't notice it earlier. Right there at the top of your screen, there's a high mountain that's off to itself on the shaded side of the moon. Well, anyway, briefly you can see the shadow line between dark and light. You can see it on the bottom too, I think. And go back. I zoomed back in and you can see it. But now, why would the back side or the shaded side light up like that? Because the Earth is getting hit by full sun right now. So just like we get moonshine, if you've got decent night vision, you can walk around when it's a full moon. You can see just fine. A lot of us can. But yeah, you can get overconfident too, and go walking to knock on your girlfriend's window because dad's out of town. Like that never happens. Yeah, gotta nail the windows shut, dads. But about a light of silvery moon, and go croon to your honey in June. Don't get overconfident. You might fall in a hole, break your ankle. Or something else. Break your pride anyway. Thought you could see. I thought I could see so good, and I just fell right in that ditch. I was hoping we'd see just a little bit of detail, ghostly detail, of the light and the dark patches. Now, with binoculars, pretty good objective lens, at least like 70, maybe 50, 12 by 50s might show you that shaded side, and you can see some of those dark and light features on the shaded side. It has a lot to do with how much light your equipment gathers and the seeing conditions, as they say. We got quite a bit of haze this morning. Excuse my coughing or crusty morning. There you can see the disc of this shaded side and that mountain I'm talking about, if it would stay in focus. Trying to play with the autofocus. By putting the telescope out of focus just a tad, it makes it sometimes make it focus better. So yeah, the highly elliptical orbit they're going to have to do to land and shuttle back and forth from orbiting the moon and the Earth. It's a 6-day orbit, so unless they have more than one orbital platform, they were calling it the Lunar Gateway Station. Unless they have more than one of those, you're talking about 6 days before you can jump up. To get back to Earth or to be rescued or whatever. So there's some folks that have been calling for them to reconsider the South Pole. Probably not just me. Man, why don't you go somewhere like the Lunar Swirl? Mankind's never visited a lunar swirl, so I think they are putting some kind of robot rover down at near Gamma. Nothing like a little bit of watermelon for breakfast. You know, the other day, I had a cool water sandwich and a Sunday go-to-meeting bun. And that means I had a watermelon. I took a little lady to church. Ball, ball, ball. What do you want for nothing? A rubber biscuit? Yeah, I lost Saturn in the haze anyway, not long after it went behind that tree. So that's astronomy this morning, Saturn and Jupiter. Hope you enjoyed it. I think I'm going to get something besides some watermelon for breakfast. I'm going to leave this out here and let the sun bake the moisture off of it, and who knows, maybe we'll take a look at those wild sunspots. There were 7 groups that I could see with my other telescope, but I couldn't get them on camera. Last night I could see, and you can see the video on TV10 Morad Legacy, you can see the video, of the sunspots, and I barely caught 2 of them, I think, maybe 3. I think at one point you could see 3 of the biggest, darkest sunspots. But you know, the morning moisture of the morning may provide just the right filter for this camera. Oh, that's kind of neat. They ought to make a diesel Harley. You know why? Because it would smell like potato when you burn the diesel Harley. Burn some French fry oil in your diesel Harley. Potato. They supposedly, I read that years ago, they patented the sound the Harley makes by describing it as potato. Say that? See, that took 50 times a second. That'd be 100 RPM, wouldn't it? 50 times a second.